Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tiff Talks Tech. Today, I'm excited because I have Tammy Longo, who's the regional sales executive at ALN Apartment Data. And we're going to be talking about unlocking your place in multifamily and how to research and align your strengths. So often we hear that people just kind of fell into multifamily. And so we want to talk about how you can be intentional as you are finding your place and how you can research to do that. But before we dive in, Tammy, can you share a little bit about your background and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me today. Really appreciate this. Is something that I'm so passionate about and have been for quite some time. I have been in the multifamily space for 2 decades now, over 2 decades. It pains me to say it because I just don't feel that old. But I am an old soul in the industry, so I guess I'll take it that way. I am with ALN Apartment Data, as you said, where we source data at the human level to help you with all your goals in multifamily on the supplier and owner manager side. I have come up through the ranks, as most of us do. Started again that long ago as a leasing agent, where someone legitimately just said to me, "I think you'd be a great leasing agent." And I said, "What's leasing?" Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know. I did not know. We don't have that where I'm from in the great upstate New York area. I went through it. I went through it all, figuring out what my strengths were, how to speak up for myself, how to find this path. And I've started to really take on that mentorship role of really, talking and getting people to talk and talk and talk about what they really want to do and encouraging owners and operators and leaders in general to really listen and not just fill those seats as we do so often.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said earlier, we just hear this all the time. Like I just ended up in multifamily and I've been here 20 years. And
Yeah. Once you're here, you're here. Like you live here
yeah,
now. I say that to all my CAM and CALP classes, welcome to multifamily. You live here now. You just
yeah,
do.
yeah. But I think it's so important to find your place and what you enjoy
Yeah.
because I mean, we were talking before doing this podcast, but it's like just because you're a leasing agent doesn't mean going directly into assistant property manager is the role for you. They're very
Yeah.
different.
They are extremely different roles. And, there is that ladder in multifamily where you leasing, you go to assistant, to manager, to regional. And then a lot of times you stay there or you may get a little bit further, but it doesn't have to be that way. And when you're taking someone whose strength is leasing and being with people and being out there and being the face of your community and doing the outreach and all that awesome stuff, and you put them behind the desk at being the rent collector, the bad guy, quote unquote. That's that role as an assistant manager. A lot of times they fail or they leave because they're just not equipped for that, because that role is vastly different. And we don't a lot of times sit people down and say, okay, I understand this is more money. This might be better for you right now. But what's better for your soul? What's better for your long term goals in multifamily? It might not be going from leasing to assistant manager. And people don't talk about that. They just go, okay, that's the next step. That's what I'm supposed to do. So, as leaders in multifamily, we really need to be looking for those strengths and saying to people, hey, listen, you know, I understand you want to take this next step, but what I see in you is X, not Y. And I mean, I can say from my own personal experience, if someone had said that to me 20 some years ago, I would have had a very different path, probably. I would have taken that into consideration and went, wow, yeah, I don't need to be a regional manager. I don't need to be an assistant manager. Those weren't positions for me. I did them and learned a lot along the way. And I'm very proud of the path that I've had in multifamily, but it didn't have to be as hard as it was for me. And I'm trying to really open the doors to let people see that it doesn't have to be one step after the other. You know?
Yeah, yeah, and I say this all the time, like, when I first started, I did leasing for 6 months, because my boss was like, "You need to figure out what it's like to be on site," and I'm like, "Great, I don't really want to," and I figured out really fast that it was not for me, but
Yeah.
I'm still glad I did it because I understand things a lot better, so, everything happens for a reason, and I think, being able to figure that out is gonna help you in the long run. Like I said, I figured that out fast, and hopefully you guys
Absolutely.
can
I
too.
figured that out after being a regional real quick too. It was not for me. And I think that I said it before, we put butts in seats, that's kind of what we do. And that's okay. If you're telling people this is temporary, I want to see what you can do here. I
Yeah,
want to see if you like this. Let's not just make it a sign on the dotted line. Next step. Is this good for you? Do you want to try this? Let me see if you shine here. Or let's try to figure out what the best place for you is.
right. Exactly. So, kind of backtracking just a little bit, why do you think so many people still stumble into our industry and how can they research to change that?
It's because we are dying for talent, right? We're really just we're screaming at the rooftops for people with personality who want to love our residents, who want to love our industry. And when we see a passion in someone, we're snagging them no matter where they come from. We're at restaurants, we're in retail. It could be great service at Chick-fil-A. Anyone who's going to offer that great customer service is someone we want to bring into multifamily. And that's how we're grabbing people. And you just hear it all the time. And I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I think that's how we're going to continue to grow our business. But we've got to be able to keep that passion that we see in people at the Chick-fil-A, at Wendy's, at wherever we found them. We've got to be able to keep that passion alive in them, or else, we're dimming their lights. And that's not why we hired them.
Yeah. And I think it's so important for us to, like you said, encourage those positions because I feel like a lot of the time we're just kind of putting them down. Why didn't you
Yeah.
close the deal? Why didn't you do this and that? And we really need to work on highlighting their strengths so that
Yeah.
they're excited to come to work every day.
Yeah, I mean, and every day and every position in multifamily is different. It changes rapidly.
Yeah.
We are slow adapters to the tech world, as you know. We are very slow adapters on some things, but it's an ever evolving industry, right? Like we went through COVID, we learned a lot through that. There's just always something going on. There's, all these big lawsuits happening and there's changes in our government, governmental things and that could be local, state, federal. We got to pay attention to it all. And for the first time in a really long time, we're on the forefront of that. Right? Multifamily is being talked about. And that's kind of crazy for us. And going along with what we're talking about with dimming people's lights, one of the things we're really trying to do as an industry is get rid of that big bad landlord, negative connotation that goes along with what we do. And what we do is provide quality housing for people, but that's not the way it gets looked at. And a lot of times those people who just climb the ladder get into these positions with this, dim light. They've lost their passion for the industry. And these are the people who sometimes are making those mistakes and not treating people properly, in my humble opinion, that, just got thrown into our industry and didn't have the passion that they need to stay here and to do the proper things and help us, get that monkey off our shoulders.
Yeah, it's really easy, I think, to get jaded, especially because so many of us are here for the long term. And
Yeah,
so you can sit here and say, "Oh, I hate this part of my job," or whatever, and it's really hard to get out of that sometimes.
absolutely. It is. But, there's so much. We've never had this much information about our industry. We've never had access to the people we have access to. If, you're looking for data or podcasts or reasons to come into our industry or stay or reignite your passion, it's out there.
Yeah.
I've never been so immersed in, LinkedIn before in my
Yeah.
ever. But there's so much there now, and there's so much that you can focus on and learn from and see what positions are turning over, why they're turning over, what companies are stepping up, and there's so much information out there now that we've just never had the access to, looking at multifamily insiders and webinar Wednesdays and all that stuff is available to us industry specific. And 10, 15 years ago, people didn't know that we were even in industry. So it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
wild to see all of this come to fruition.
Yeah, I think there's so much more potential than a lot of people realize, which is amazing to see.
Absolutely.
So how could somebody use data to uncover those strengths and align them with the right role for them in multifamily?
It's so interesting to me that we've become such a personalized industry when it comes to hiring as well. So the data that you might want to be looking for are their philanthropic views. And a lot of the time, you can find them right on the company website. So, knowing things like NMHC's top 50 companies to work for, researching them, pulling that data from their websites and seeing if what their philanthropic views are align with what yours are. Are they supporting the ASPCA? Is it, a heart foundation? There's something that they're doing. I promise you it's out there. And shame on any management company that isn't promoting what they're doing good for our industry. Put it out there, shout it from the rooftops,
Yeah.
and let people know, because not only will that attract the right people to work for you, that's going to attract the right supplier partners as well,
Mm.
because they're really looking for people who they can partner with, not just someone to do some work.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's so important in our space for sure. What are some of the tools and methods that people can use to help them explore those roles? And I know we were saying like it's not always a traditional path. So how
Right.
can people kind of go around that?
I mean, it's a lot about being very emotionally intelligent and really speaking from your heart on what your help is what I like to say. I think we all have a certain something in us, and I consider myself a helper. That's my core belief. I want to help everyone reach their goals, do all the things, right? But there's a help in you. What is your help? Is it I want to help people find the right home? Is it I want to help my owners meet their financial goals? Is it I want to help myself learn something new? There's a help inside of you, and I think that you need to figure out what that is and go find a company or a position that aligns with those goals and dreams, because you can have dreams in multifamily. It's a thing. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be just, oh, I live in this space. No, what do I want to accomplish in this space and how am I going to get there? And another great thing to do is look for a mentor, and you could find that person on LinkedIn very easily.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there willing to take people under their wings, get on these podcasts, listen and speak from the heart, and really learn what kind of organization that you want to run with for potentially a very long-term career, because honestly, there is a lot of job stability in apartments. They're not going away.
Yeah. It's very true. I One thing I think that helped me as well, just giving my 2 cents, is, I took a lot of personality tests, like,
Yes,
on, and I honestly, I was very discouraged when I saw them, because I was like it was a lot of soft skills, and it wasn't a lot of the, like, organizational leadership, like, the typical things you would see. One of the things that I really dug into was the Enneagram. Have you ever done that?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so I, like, found that I'm a type 6 and I'm very loyal and I, really, value my relationships, and I'm like, "How does that relate to work?"
How's it going to help me?
Yeah. Like,
But it
I don't
does.
understand.
And
Yeah,
I know everyone gets really annoyed with personality tests and what color are you? What shape are you? And this
yeah,
and that. But if you take enough of those and see the trends that all come out of them,
yeah,
and if you keep seeing the same words over and over again, right? We're pretty cynical as a society. And when it comes to reviews, we're looking at thousands and thousands of reviews before we make purchases. And what we're looking for is a pattern, right? We're looking to see what is truth in these reviews. And if it's negative, you're going to see that same thing over and over again. You're going to start to believe it. Is it a pest control problem? Is it a trash problem? But on the other side, what are the positives? And it's the same thing with the personality test. If you take them over and over, they're all going to give you a little bit of a variation. But
yeah,
those core group of words, those core groups of personality traits are the things that you're going to want to take from those. And you can't just take one
yeah,
and call it gospel. You've
yeah.
really got to do the research and take the analytics out of it to learn what is actually going on, what's happening from your heart to your brain to the paper.
Yeah, and
And
I think
that's
those tests
the
can
key.
give you, like it's like researching yourself and what do you want?
Absolutely. It's insight. And you may look at it and go, oh, no, that's not me.
Yeah,
Or you may look at it and go, oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense.
yeah,
Oh, that makes sense. A lot of people do that with zodiac signs and,
yeah,
like, they just wanna say, "Well, I'm this way because I'm a Libra." No, "I'm this way
yeah,
because I'm orange or I'm yellow or I'm a square." It's no, take what you can out of it, use that data, take those analytic words and make them into something. Really do a deep dive into yourself and become emotionally intelligent and use your emotional agility to form an opinion of yourself. You've got to know who you are,
Yeah.
or else
And
you're
it's
just going to keep running on ice.
yeah, and it's not like an overnight thing either.
Oh,
And like you and I, we've had
21 years,
so much
I
trial and
mean,
error. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And you can make it easier for yourself though. You don't have to, like I just said, run on ice for as long as I did. There's so much out there to help you now. And if you do that work on yourself, it will come easily because it's out there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So for people who are feeling really stuck and like we said, you can get kind of cynical and jaded.
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
advice do you give people to help them find a better fit?
Well, I there's a couple of things that you can do. One of my biggest nuggets in life is a 5-second dance party, right? Just get up and dance, get up and sing, do something for 5 seconds that just moves your body around and sit back down and take a deep breath, right? You can go home, you can scream in the pillow, right? You've got to find someone to talk to. You cannot leave yourself out on an island, and you don't have to in this industry. It's multi-family. And I would beg to say 95.9% of us really believe that. We're here for a reason. We're not here just to get to the next paycheck. We're here to create that sense of family for not just, our industry as a whole, for our residents as well. And if you're, taking all that in, you can get to that next step pretty easily.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so if somebody is doing a little more research, what are those things they should look for? Like how do they look into the right roles and even like, we think that it's traditional, this ladder.
Yeah.
So what roles do they look at to go around that?
I mean, that's totally depends on what you found out that your strengths are. And you
Yeah.
can also, just look at the jobs. Look at the
Yeah.
job listings. We love in multifamily to come up with creative ways to say, different positions. So if you don't want to be a leasing agent and you want to be the director of smiles, then look for that. It probably exists,
Yeah.
right? So look for the words that are going to speak to you. Research the job listings, make sure that you're hitting marks on how much time do you want to be in the office. Tiffany, you knew you didn't want to be an office person, you found that out quickly.
Yeah.
But think about how much time do you want to be away from your home, how important is that to you, and again, what's your help, what are you looking for, is it help on site, is it help off site, is it help as far as maintenance goes. There's something that you can take from looking at all the job listings. Again, that's data, that's research, and figure out what words are speaking to you and take it from there. Again, mentorship as well. Reach out to me, to Tiffany, to, people. There's so many people out there. And I mean, I know that it, if you just look around, you can find someone who will take you under their wing. I don't want to
Yes.
shout out a bunch of people's names, but they're out there. I could probably list them. So if you come to me with any questions about who you should reach out to, I'll get you there.
Yeah.
And at that too, the networking. Go to things.
Yeah.
You're not going to see anyone except the same 5 people if you don't get out and go to things. Learn your association. Best resource you could probably ever have. Do you know if they're affiliated with NAA? Do you have the opportunity and the budget to go to things? Can you make it to a free coffee? Go and talk to people. It's the one way you're really going to learn about what's going on out there. What's happening in your neck of the woods, so to speak, might not be the same thing that's happening even in the town next to you because everything is very circumstantial. So get out there and go see what's happening, see what jobs are available, who's moving and shaking. And, again, we used to think, yeah, you stay at a job for 40 years, everyone stays at their job. And if you're job hopping, right, job hopping is terrible on a resume, lies.
Yeah.
Absolute lies. I mean, if you're not out there trying to better yourself now and you're just sitting at a desk to sit at a desk, then that's your own fault. People are actually looking at that now. Why did you stay here 8 years? Not why did you leave? Why did you stay so long if you weren't happy?
Yeah, and I
And
think
so,
one of the positive things is you get more experience being at
yeah,
places.
Absolutely. But you can get it, if our leaders are open to these ideas, like I said, you can actually get that experience, sit in the chair for a little while, do the temporary things and see if those are fits. Talk to your leadership and say, hey, listen, I'd love to try this out. I know you need this position filled. Can I do it for 60 days and see if it's right for me? If not, I'm happy to take my position back.
Yeah.
It's something along those lines. We've got to be flexible to that. That's the key to it all.
Yeah, and I think that leadership would respect that more than having somebody in a role that they're not happy with because you're not gonna perform at your highest level, so they would rather have
No,
somebody who wants that
you can't
position.
chase the money in multifamily. You cannot chase money. And I think that goes for a lot of industries. But in ours, very specifically, just because it's a step up and it's more money, it's not going to fulfill you if you're not in the right helping role. Because
Exactly.
everything we do is help. That's what we do. We're a
It's
customer
true.
service facing, helpful industry.
Right.
Everything we do is helping someone or something.
Yeah, and I think we're always, in a way, selling too. And I
Absolutely.
always say, like, I'm not a salesperson, I'm a marketing gal, but I am selling still in just a different way. And I
You're
think
selling
that's
ideas.
yeah, yeah, I'm selling to my team. I'm selling, just I'm not on a demo call every day, but I'm selling in the content that I make and whatever.
Right.
So I think that, just kind of keeping that in mind and how do you put your spin on things?
You have to be a relationship salesperson.
Yeah.
This is not A to B, right? We're
Mhm.
not just selling you something tangible like a pen, right? You
Yeah,
go in those interviews, they're like, sell me this pen. That's not going to work for what we're doing. The human brain doesn't work that way. We have to really dive in, get to know the people around us as coworkers, because guess what? You're selling yourself to them too, because you have to prove to them that you're reliable, responsible, a great teammate. So you're right. You're selling all the time, just very different things in different ways. And relationships are the way that you're going to do that. You're going to create that bond. You're going to create that sense of authenticity in yourself and bring that out in other people. And that's what's going to create a great team and make you comfortable enough to get to where you want to be. And again, with people coming through your door, are you buying things just because it's pretty and shiny, or did somebody sell it to you? Right. I mean, I know I mentioned Chick-fil-A a couple times, but when was your great last customer service experience? The bar's pretty low. And I say that lovingly to Chick-fil-A, but are they really doing anything crazy? No, they're not. They're being situationally polite all the time.
oh my
It's
gosh, yeah.
consistency, right? So if you're up against the last best experience someone had and it's Chick-fil-A. They went to Chick-fil-A, the order was right, and they were treated fairly and kindly, and when you said, "Thank you," what did they say? "My pleasure."
Oh, yeah.
That's it. The customer service bar is so
But, like, half the time, it's like, "My pleasure."
but they say it. They're
Yeah,
doing it, right? But again, maybe that wasn't the best Chick-fil-A there, but
yeah,
I'm just saying, like it's that you're just up against their last best customer experience. And that could have been something literally just someone saying thank you.
yeah. I think we forget to
So
connect with people sometimes,
yeah.
like, especially I know when I would shop properties, it's like, "Okay, you're gonna lease here or not?"
The rule of thirds, Tiffany, the rule of thirds when you're out shopping properties, which is another way to really get to know what you may or may not want to do. And if you go visit three properties, it holds true almost every single time. And I just did it about 2 weeks ago. And, it blows my mind. But you'll have one experience that will be poor, one that will be medium, and one that will meet your standards, not necessarily exceed it. The exceeding standards might be the amenities, not necessarily the customer service. So there's a lot of room for improvements in our industry as that goes as well, but it's everywhere. It's not.
Yeah,
We're conditioned to expect okay service as great
yeah,
when it's not.
for
So
sure.
if you can give a little extra, you can win a lot of people over and win those relationships and win that trust within people because that's why we buy. We trust consistency.
Yeah, definitely. So in kind of along those lines, are there certain skills that people should have that are in high demand across different multifamily roles? Like a leasing agent should have blah blah blah. Like we were saying, basic level of customer service.
Basic.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing is being authentic to yourself, and that's something that is very new across the human levels, I guess. Really being able to show your personality and be yourself, and being comfortable with that. Now, if you have a not so appealing personality, then maybe this isn't for you. I mean, just know that about yourself, and that's okay. If you don't want to be bright, shiny, and happy, that's fine. You need to find the position that works for you. So,
Yeah.
really, just being authentic and making sure that you don't put yourself in the crosshairs of being labeled something that you're not, and then having to live up to that standard is what's going to keep you long term, and it's going to keep you long term happy as well. Um, the other thing that people may want to try, and this is just something that dawned on me recently, and I have no idea why, feel like I'm real late on this one, but working with a staffing company, checking out different jobs. If you don't want to commit to a company, there are multifamily specific staffing companies out there that can help you find your way, that
Yeah.
can provide you with training. And then you can say to them, right, your trusted confidant in them, hey, this wasn't for me. Next time, could we look for XYZ? And they will help you with that. I know a lot of times that's not something people want to hear, but if you're unsure of where you fit in multifamily, it's a great avenue. And there are some wonderful companies out there that are willing to spend the time with you and really get to know you and help you find your place within a company or just a position alone.
Yeah, that is a great call out. As our industry continues to change, I know there's so many different emerging roles.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. There's so many different emerging roles. And so what are those new roles that you've seen or you've heard of? I think there's more centralized leasing positions
Mhm.
and things like that. And what can people research to find those niche roles?
So that's going to come with really getting to know the industry. But one of the things that I see, and it's circumstantial to working with data, is that a lot of multifamily companies and owner manager groups are hiring their own data analytics people because we have a lot of data now. We've got it in our property management software. We get it from sources like ALN, but then what are you doing with it?
Yeah,
There's no one that can read it. There's no one that can make it actionable. So there are a lot of companies out there who are really looking for someone who can take all this data from all these different sources and help them make decisions that are going to be right for their companies and right for their futures. When you're trying to sit down and make a 3 to 5 year plan, hold on a property that that's how long you want to keep it, it's very crucial to have that data read properly. And I think a lot of people are realizing that they're not the people for that role. They weren't interpreting the data properly. Even something simple as market surveys, just they weren't coming across and using the data as they should.
yeah,
So that is one position. If you have any interest, that is an emerging thing in our industry. Really having the strengths and skills to read multiple different sources of data and
yeah.
make them actionable for on-site teams, owner managers, and developers for that matter.
Yeah, definitely. I want to wrap up just a little bit, but how can industry leaders really support people as they are doing their research and trying to figure out what's best for them? How can we be supportive of that?
Just take 5 minutes to talk. Take 5 minutes to talk to people and talk to them about what their needs really are. What are their financial needs? What are their familial needs? What are their wants when it comes to, how long they want to stay in property management? Ask them what they think their future holds. There's a lot of people who do have other goals outside of multifamily, want to be entrepreneurs. They want to do, things that maybe with supplier partners that don't necessarily translate to back to our industry. And you know what? If you can hold on to a good person as long as you can hold on to them, then you do that by taking a couple minutes to talk to them and really get to know what their strengths and weaknesses are and having what I like to call the ugly baby conversations with them. Sitting them down and saying, "Okay, I hear you said this, but here's what I see. What do you think about that?" And as leaders, we have to be open to people saying, this isn't for me, or I don't agree with what you're seeing, and here's where I think my strengths are. You have to be okay with letting people go too, because it might not be the right fit for them. And a lot of times we hold tight to someone because we don't want to hire, because we don't want to do the work. And we've got to be open to flexibility, letting people try out new positions, and really getting to know their strengths, weaknesses, and what their help is.
Yeah, yeah, and I think just not underestimating people as well. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Don't
remember
hold
I was
people
in
back.
yeah, I was in a role where I wanted to increase my workload, and they're like, "Yeah, that's not gonna happen," because I think they had somebody else in mind, and they totally underestimated me,
Mhm.
and I think within a year, I was in the role that I wanted to be in, but it was just, "Why didn't you see that at first, and
Yeah.
could you give me practical feedback?" There was no practical feedback, so it's like,
No.
just don't forget that there are other people, even though they might not be the ones that are all up in your face, like, "Hey, I did this great thing,"
Yeah.
and da da da. Just remember that people are doing their best and you have the opportunity to build people up. So don't underestimate
Absolutely.
them.
Yeah, and I've had, that happen to me too, where I'm a bubbly person. I
Yeah.
like people. I want to be around people, and just because I'm silly and happy and, I may not talk strategically all the time doesn't mean that I can't get there. It doesn't mean I can't do things. And, I've had people I went through the whole CAM course a long time ago, and had a boss say to me, "Well, I'm not gonna give you the time off to go take this exam because I don't want you to have letters after your name that I don't have." And so I
Yeah.
was able to finish that out, because they're intimidated sometimes. Like, you're gonna come for their job, and that's usually not someone's intent. They're looking at internal growth, not clawing their way up your back.
Mhm.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just don't be scared of people. Let them fly. It's fine. Let people use their strengths to get to where they need to be. I guarantee you, most people don't want to do what you do that you're talking to. They just they
Yeah.
don't, So, again, having that personality that is yours, paired with skills that you have that maybe you don't talk about all the time are completely different. And you've got to have it kind of all inside, and if you want to, be more philanthropic, you want to get involved on committees, you want to serve on NAA committees or your local committees, go to the free conferences, figure it out, because that's one of the ways that you're really going to get to the leaders and to the people who are in those executive roles who are looking for certain skill sets too.
Yeah, that's a great call out and kind of leads into my next question is what other resources and tools do you recommend for people trying to do a deeper dive?
Again, check out the websites. Make sure you know that there's so many property management companies down to your independents. Make sure that you're looking for a role that is absolutely gonna encompass the things that you want. So, going on again, LinkedIn. LinkedIn's your best source of
Mm.
everything.
Yeah.
Look at the jobs. I mean, check out Indeed, but I'm telling you, LinkedIn is the way to go.
Yeah.
Your multifamily insiders, eh, all of the podcasts and everything. You're going to hear something different in it all. We all come from different backgrounds. Again, we aren't people who came up through a 2 year or 4 year school that have the exact same views. We've all worked for different companies. We all know the differences. And a lot of us are here to really guide you and help you through that, to find all these little niche areas that you may want to get into. Again, you mentioned centralized leasing. That's still pretty new for us. I mean, think about we compare ourselves to hotels and airlines and stuff.
Yeah.
They've been doing it forever. Same thing with revenue management, right? When you go to hotels and airlines, they've been doing this forever. You don't go to a hotel on a Friday and pay the same as a Tuesday, or a Saturday the same as a Thursday, right? that's not new news. We're starting to pick up on that. I said we're slow adapters. We were slow on that one, but we're incorporating these things now.
Yeah.
So there's so much more than collecting a rent check in multifamily. And you can find your place here. It's we're here for you. You can do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and I think you find that multifamily, I mean, everyone says it's such a small industry, but I've never had anybody turn me away if I've asked for help or wanted
No.
to continue my education in something or get mentorship. I've always had people like they might say, "Oh, I'm a little busy, but I'm gonna point you in the right direction."
That's it.
So, just don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I'm an introvert. I hate it, but you know what? You do it and you find it's not that scary actually.
Yeah, and then you meet up with someone like me who's like, "Let me show you the world. Let me
Yeah.
show you everything, and I'll find you the right people and places and things." But that's and that's part of it too.
Yeah.
We have all types of personalities, and um, we can all work together. There's enough sand in the box for everyone, right? I mean, it's easy to do once you fall into property management, which you will.
Yeah.
It is a long and fulfilling road, if you really use your resources, and that's really what it is finding the people and the places and the things that are gonna work for you and aligning them with what your help and what your heart is telling you.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
there's just so much to be grateful for when it comes to the multifamily industry. And I think that we don't realize it until we've been through a lot of it. And that's unfortunate. So, I mean, we really need to be promoting the good that our industry does because it really has such a negative connotation to
Yeah.
it. And we gotta stand up and say, listen, we're giving people quality homes, right? Those 2 or 3 people who are the bad eggs, they don't represent the vast majority of multifamily, and
Yeah.
there's so many layers to multifamily too between having, the Section 8 tax credits, luxury, multi-use, build for rent. There's so much, and we still just kinda get looked at as someone who sits in an office and collects a check, and it's just not true.
Yeah, I even think back to my beginning and I started a multifamily, like I said, we fell into it and I was like, I this is not for me. I want to go work for Disney or I want to go work for a makeup brand or I want to do marketing for this or that.
Yeah.
And those are great things, but I really started to dig in more and realize that multifamily is great. And like you said, there's so many possibilities, so many different things you could do just because the one
Mhm.
position you feel stuck in doesn't mean that there aren't all these other things that you didn't even think of.
Yeah, you just brought something up too that with positions, like there are a lot of activities coordinators, a lot of
Mm.
event positions that are coming up because we are really starting to jump on to figuring out that retention is absolute key to financial stability. So we are providing now more and more things for our residents, and we're building apartment communities that have bowling alleys and all kinds of crazy amenities in them. We're providing lifestyles for people, and those lifestyle coordinators is also something that if you had a vision of working for Disney or you wanted to go into a different type of sales role, those are the type of um titles that you could look for as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so one of my bonus questions, and this is something I ask every guest. What's a tech tool that you are loving right now? Does not have to be related to this at all, but what is something you use every day?
So one of the things that I use industry specific is sales mail. I love I love sales mail. It's easy to use, it's quick. I can do videos, zip, zang, zoom. I can text them to people. It's a fantastic tool. But one thing that just recently happened to me was that I had to have a sleep study. I have allergies, and I was
Yeah,
like, oh no, I got to go into this dark room and I've got to be hooked up to these machines. It's going to be terrible. Well, it was so cool. I went to my allergist and they just handed me this little box and said, here you go home and do your sleep study. It was like an Apple Watch that
oh,
hooked up to my finger, that hooked up a little thing right here I stuck so they could hear my lungs. And that was it. I did my sleep study at home and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And it
that's
transmitted the
lovely.
results right back to the doctor. I
Oh,
know,
that is
complete,
lovely.
like random, but if you've ever been afraid of a sleep study, because I was terrified that I was gonna be in, like, a prison
Yeah.
cell overnight and that was what it was gonna be. It wasn't. It just literally it was a watch, a thing on my finger, and this whole thing, and I did it right at home. It was
Oh,
fantastic, and I just thought that was really neat. Probably it's been around a long time, and I didn't know it, but it still was cool to me, so that's the coolest
yeah.
tech thing that's happened to me in a long time.
Love that.
What are you seeing?
I mean, I just got a new Apple Watch yesterday, and yeah, like, I hadn't gotten an Apple Watch since I was engaged 7 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's about it for me too. Mine's
Yeah.
the thicker one
Yeah,
here,
that's
but
how mine
yeah.
was too, and I died after half a day. I would do
My
workout and
charge
it
is
would
going
die.
down, we're in the same position.
Yeah, yeah, and I just got one yesterday, and I'm like, "Wow, why didn't I do this earlier?"
What is it about it?
I didn't realize that, like, the interface is different, and it doesn't die as easily, and on top of that, I didn't realize you could track and maybe you can do this with the old one, I just didn't know, but you can track all these new health things, like, you could track your fertility, you could track your, um I don't know, just things like that, and I can see
That's
all the hours of the weather now, whereas before it
ah,
was just, like, the
yes,
whole
yes.
day.
Yes, it would just tell you the temperature in big numbers, like, that's
Yes,
it.
yeah, so
I
I was,
need
like,
that
really happy.
information for sitting on the sidelines. Oh, another thing that just came to mind as I said that, 'cause my girlfriend just sent it to me yesterday, and I just posted about this today. I hate socks. Weird, but I am not a sock person.
Yeah,
Fuzzy boots, fuzzy Crocs, all the things, right?
yeah.
Socks, can't stand them. So my son plays soccer all the way through the mid-December now and starts back up in January. I have to get socks. I have to find them. In this, speaking to some of the other soccer moms at Costco, they actually have heated socks that you can run off an app on your phone.
What? That is really
Yeah,
cool. I'll have to check those
I
out.
know. I'm like, this is gonna go under investment category. We have to sell it to my husband as an investment, not just a pair of socks,
Yeah,
right? Because I hate wasting money on them, and I don't wear them, and I don't like them, and
yeah.
so that may be an option for me. So, yeah, temperature controlled socks that run through an app on your phone, another wonderful
I love it.
use of tech there for
Yeah.
sideline mamas who don't want to be in a bubble. I mean, I appreciate the bubbles, that they have that you can zip yourself up in, but I'm a pacer. I don't sit. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you can imagine I'm not great at sitting.
yeah. Well, we have soccer season right now for our kiddos,
Mhm.
and so I'm like, "I need to get those
Yes,
for
I'm
sure."
telling you, once I do purchase them and I sell them to my husband as an investment, as he sells whiskey to me, I will, I will let you know how that goes.
Yes, yes, I love it. Well, thank
Oh,
you.
whiskey will keep me warm too.
I was just gonna say thank you for doing this so much. Where can people connect with you and
So
learn more
I
about
love new
what
friends. My favorite is LinkedIn again, Longo TJ, Tammy Longo. You can find me there. Same as Instagram, although I will tell you, Instagram, I do post some personal stuff there, mostly kids and soccer, but
love it.
that's how you get to know people, right? So when you see me in person, say, "Oh, hey, I saw your son score a goal the other day." That's how I use social media. It may be a little bit creepy, but sometimes I see people's husbands and I know the people, but I haven't never met their husbands. And I'll be like, "Oh, hey, you're so and so's husband. I saw you on Instagram,
Yeah,
at Disney World or whatever." And usually they kind of go, "Oh," and I'm like, "I know your wife."
I know, I love taking that extra step of connection. Instagram is
Yeah, but for me, that connectivity is what it's all about, and
yeah,
using social media for, good and not evil, right?
yeah.
That's
I am with you. I love it. Well, thank you so much. This has been such a great
you.
conversation. Yeah, I'm just so glad we were
I
able to
look
talk about
forward to meeting with you in person at some point too, and
Yes,
one of these conferences will connect.
definitely. Well, thank you so much.
Just thanks, everyone.